On Saturday, November 25, 2023, Jessica Hart, a 21-year-old college student, sat motionless in her bedroom, eyes fixed blankly on the glow of her phone screen. The room around her was dim, lit only by the soft flicker of a scented candle. Outside, the wind moaned faintly as it passed between the buildings, rustling the bare trees that lined the quiet street below. Jessica lived in a 3-story Victorian-style brownstone tucked in a residential block just off the city's main road. The building, though charming in architecture, had seen better days. Peeling paint clung to the porch railings, and the floorboards creaked even under the lightest step. The neighborhood wasn't known for crime, just the usual city oddities, but lately, something had changed. She was trying to keep her mind off Philip. Just 2 days earlier, her boyfriend of nearly a year had abruptly ended things. It had been cold, detached, like the relationship had meant nothing at all. But oddly, that wasn't what kept her awake. It wasn't heartbreak that made her skin crawl. It was her neighbor. For the past 2 weeks, Jessica had noticed him. She didn't even know his name. He lived in the building directly across from hers, in the apartment that perfectly faced her second-story bedroom window. At first, she thought it was just her imagination. A figure standing behind sheer curtains? It could have been a shadow, a trick of the light. But then she saw him again. And again. Always at the same spot. Same time. Same unsettling stillness. Just watching her. Jessica had tried to dismiss it. Maybe he was just a loner. Maybe he had insomnia. Maybe he just enjoyed standing by his window. Still, the unease gnawed at her. He never waved. Never moved. Just stared. Yesterday had been the worst. He hadn't even tried to hide it, just stood there in the dim light of his apartment, arms at his sides, eyes locked on her window like a statue possessed. Unable to take it anymore, Jessica confided in her best friend, Rebecca. Over coffee at the local diner, she spilled everything, the silent staring, the lingering presence, and the chilling feeling that someone was always watching her even when her curtains were drawn. But Rebecca didn't seem alarmed. "Jess, you're overthinking it," Rebecca had said with a dismissive laugh. "Come on, he probably just has a harmless crush. Guys are weird sometimes. He's probably too shy to say hi." Jessica had tried to smile, tried to laugh it off, but in her gut, she knew it wasn't just a crush. There was something wrong with him. Something deeply unsettling. His stare didn't feel admiring, it felt predatory. That night, she went to bed early, locking her doors and windows out of an abundance of caution. She left the lamp on beside her bed, telling herself that it was just nerves. "You're safe. It's just a weirdo across the street. Nothing's going to happen." She fell asleep just past midnight, curled tightly under her sheets. But then, around 2:47 a.m., Jessica woke up with a jolt. A dull ache twisted in her stomach. She needed to pee. Half asleep, she pushed off her blanket and padded barefoot down the hallway toward the bathroom. Her house was silent, the kind of silence that made every creak of the floorboards sound amplified. She rubbed her eyes and turned the corner, but something made her stop. She glanced toward her bedroom window. And he was there. Her neighbor. Standing in the exact same place. His face now fully visible in the dim light of his apartment. No curtains. No pretense. Just staring. Directly at her. Jessica froze. Her mouth went dry. Her heart began to thump, loud and erratic, echoing in her ears. It felt like he knew she was there. That he'd been waiting for her to wake up. She scrambled for her phone and immediately tried to call Rebecca. The line rang. Once. Twice. 3 times. No answer. Maybe she was asleep. Maybe she had her phone on silent. Jessica looked back toward the window. He was gone. The relief hit her like a wave, a breath she didn't realize she was holding. She backed away from the window, her hands trembling. It's okay. He's gone. Maybe he just walked away. But then, she heard it. A noise. Downstairs. Jessica's breath caught in her throat. It wasn't a creak or a pipe groaning, it was distinct. A shuffling. The soft, unmistakable sound of movement. She crept slowly to the stairwell and peered down into the darkness below. Her fingers clutched the railing so tightly her knuckles turned white. Another sound. Closer. Then she saw him. Her neighbor. Inside her house. He stood at the foot of the stairs, a kitchen knife clutched in his right hand. His eyes, blank and dead, met hers. There was no mask, no hesitation, just quiet menace. Like this had been his plan all along. Jessica didn't scream. She bolted. Her bare feet flew down the hallway as she ran into the bathroom and slammed the door shut behind her. Her hand scrambled for the lock and twisted it until it clicked. She leaned against the door, gasping, sobbing, shaking uncontrollably. She called the police. Her fingers were slick with sweat as she hit the emergency number. The line picked up. 911, what's your emergency? He's in my house. Jessica cried. My neighbor, he broke in. He has a knife. Please, please send someone. The dispatcher's voice was calm but firm. Ma'am, stay on the line. Officers are already on their way. Stay in the bathroom. Do not open the door for anyone but the police. Jessica sobbed into the phone, her back still pressed to the door. Every second felt like a lifetime. And then, she saw it. A shadow under the door. Feet. He was there. Right outside. The doorknob twisted violently, followed by the sound of a heavy body slamming into the wood. Again. And again. The entire door shook with each hit. Jessica screamed. Get away from me. He didn't speak. Just kept banging, twisting, slamming. She curled into the farthest corner of the bathroom, clutching the phone so hard she thought it would crack. The dispatcher's voice was still coming through, calm but distant, like it was underwater. And then... silence. No banging. No footsteps. Just quiet. Jessica blinked. Her entire body still trembled. Had he left? Was he hiding? Was it a trick? She didn't move for what felt like hours. Then she heard something else, voices. A knock at the front door. Firm. Authoritative. Police. Open up. Jessica opened the bathroom door just a crack, her eyes scanning the hallway. No sign of him. She stepped out slowly, her limbs stiff and fragile. Downstairs, 2 uniformed officers were leading her neighbor, handcuffed and bloodied, out the front door. He didn't fight. Didn't speak. Just looked up at Jessica one last time. And then he was gone. The officer closest to her gave a reassuring nod. You're safe now. He's not going to hurt you. But Jessica wasn't sure. Because even though he was gone, she could still feel his eyes on her. And from that night forward, she never slept with her curtains open again. It started with barking. Every night, without fail, around the same time, a dog would appear just outside Emma's bedroom window. She lived in a quiet neighborhood, nothing extraordinary ever happened. But this was different. Every single night, the dog would return. It would just start barking, loud, sharp, relentless barking that echoed through the walls of her room and settled deep in her bones. At first, Emma thought it was just one of her neighbor's dogs left outside overnight. So the next morning, Emma decided to do something about it. She walked door to door, speaking to her neighbors, asking if anyone owned a dog that fit the description. But none of the neighbors recognized it. Some didn't even own dogs, and the ones that did swore their pets were kept indoors at night and it wasn't theirs. She was about to give up. That's when she saw Mrs. Carrington, the old lady who had lived in that neighborhood for decades, longer than any of the neighbors. Emma hesitated for a moment, then approached her, hoping she might have seen the dog before. Mrs. Carrington's eyes changed the moment she heard the description. She fell silent, looked away. Then, she said something that chilled Emma to the core. "That dog's dead." Emma blinked. "What do you mean?" So Mrs. Carrington told her the story. Years ago, before Emma ever moved into the neighborhood, her house had belonged to a small family. A young couple and their infant daughter. They had a dog, a loyal mutt they'd adopted from a shelter. The kind of dog that followed its owners around everywhere. That barked at passing cars. That waited by the door when they were away. One night, tragedy struck. A fire broke out. No one ever figured out exactly how it started. All they knew was that it began in the baby's room. The parents had been asleep. The smoke alarms didn't go off until it was almost too late. But the dog, he had sensed it. He barked, louder than he ever had before. He barked and barked, desperate to wake his sleeping owners. But they didn't hear. So the dog did the unthinkable. He rushed into the baby's room, already thick with smoke, and somehow managed to drag the infant to the window. With all the strength in his small body, he pushed the baby through the open pane and onto the grass below. The baby lived. But the dog never made it out. Just as he turned to run, a burning wooden beam collapsed on top of him. Trapped. Helpless. Gone. By the time the parents woke and rushed to their baby, they found her outside, crying but alive. And inside, all that was left of the dog was ashes and silence. Emma stood frozen as Mrs. Carrington told her all this. Her mouth dry. Her heart pounding. The old woman finished the story with a whisper, "That dog's spirit never left the house. He's been seen around here for years. But only by the people living in your house. The ones who sleep in that room." Emma went home, unsure what to believe. She sat by the window that night and waiting for the dog to appear. She kept thinking about what Mrs. Carrington had said about the dog's spirit never leaving. Had it really been haunting her? Or had it been trying to protect her from something else? Just like it had protected that baby so many years ago. Just as she was about to step away, the dog appeared. Its barking was louder than ever, desperate, unrelenting. A deep, unshakable dread settled in Emma's chest. The following morning, Emma packed her things and moved out of the house. She didn't look back. Maybe, just maybe, there was something else in that house the dog had been barking at. Something Emma never saw. Jennifer was the kind of girl who found joy in the little things. A steaming mug of tea on a rainy morning. The soft turning of a page in a mystery novel. The quiet peace of her small apartment nestled on the edge of town, where she could curl up in her favorite corner and let her imagination run wild. She lived a quiet life, ordinary, safe, and predictable. But all of that changed when the gifts started appearing. It began innocently enough. A bouquet of white roses had been left on her doorstep one morning, wrapped in brown paper with a single note. For someone as lovely as these. There was no name. No sender. Jennifer had stood there for a moment, confused but admittedly flattered. She assumed maybe it was from one of her neighbors or perhaps a shy admirer. The second gift arrived 3 days later, a box of rich, expensive-looking chocolates, the kind she never bought for herself. Again, no note this time, just her name handwritten in loopy cursive on the lid. Jennifer told her best friend, Priscilla, about it. They'd grown up together and shared nearly everything. Priscilla's reaction was immediate and firm. Creepy. I have a bad feeling about this, she had said. You have no idea who's doing this. That's not romantic, Jennifer. That's weird. Jennifer had laughed it off, saying Priscilla always had a bad feeling about everything and that maybe the gifts were just from someone who was shy and had a crush on her. Then came the third gift. It arrived on a Thursday afternoon. Jennifer had just gotten home from work when she spotted it, a small, carefully wrapped box resting on her welcome mat. She bent down, picked it up, and turned it over in her hands. There was weight to it. And when she opened it, her breath caught. Inside was a delicate necklace. A silver chain with a small, heart-shaped pendant, glittering softly under the living room light. It was exactly her style, elegant, simple, and understated. It felt personal. Like whoever had chosen it knew her better than most people did. At the bottom of the box was a small card. Handwritten in the same looped cursive. Meet me at 113 West Pine Street. 8 p.m. tomorrow. Eager to see who had been sending her these gifts, Jennifer decided she was going to meet the person at the said address. I need to know who this person is. I just want to say thank you, that's all, she muttered to herself. The next evening, Jennifer dressed casually, jeans and a soft sweater, her phone tucked into her pocket. When she got to the address, it was an old, abandoned building. It didn't look like anyone had set foot inside in years. She took a cautious step toward the door, then another. The handle creaked as she pushed it open. Inside, it was even darker. Dust floated in shafts of fading daylight. The air was cold, damp, and heavy with silence. She took one step inside. Then another and another. Hello? Is anybody here? She said as she moved around, hoping to see who had left the note with the address. And then she heard it, footsteps. Soft at first. Behind her. Then heavier. Faster. Before she could turn fully around, an arm was around her waist and another clamped down over her mouth. Panic surged through her. She thrashed. Kicked. Bit down on the man's hand. He cursed, loosened his grip just long enough for her to break free. She ran straight to the front door, but the door was locked, the same door she had walked through a few minutes ago. Her heart thundered. Her breaths came in short gasps. She ducked into a corner room, slammed the door behind her, and hid behind an overturned desk. Then she pulled out her phone and called the police. Jennifer's thoughts spilled out in a flood. She told the police officer everything, the building, the man that had grabbed her from behind, how she could still hear him walking nearby, his boots crunching on glass and rubble. How he was looking for her. The police officer responded, saying she should stay calm and that help was on the way. Stay quiet. Don't move. The police are coming. Just stay hidden. A moment later, she heard the man's voice. Low. Calm. Almost amused. He was talking to her. I know you're still here, he said. Don't be afraid. Come out. I just want to talk. Jennifer trembled in her hiding place. She covered her mouth with both hands to keep from screaming. He sounded so sure. Like he knew exactly where she was. Like he had been planning this. Then came the scraping sound, metal against concrete. She peeked around the corner of the desk. That's when she saw the knife. Long rusted. Deadly. She picked up her phone again. He has a knife. Don't move. The police are almost there. You're going to be okay. Just hold on, the officer responded. Jennifer stayed frozen. But the man was getting closer. He spoke again. This time, the words made her blood run cold. I knew you'd come, Jennifer. I've been watching you for weeks. I know where you go, what you wear, what time you turn off your lights at night. Every word felt like a razor. She tried to hold herself together. Tried to believe the sirens would come at any moment. But time felt endless in the dark, and the footsteps kept getting nearer. An hour later, the police finally arrived. They searched the entire building, room by room, floor by floor. All they found was Jennifer's phone, face down in the dust, screen cracked, and the card with the address from the gift box lying on the ground near an alley, along with signs of a struggle. There was no trace of Jennifer herself. She was never seen again. And as for the man, the one who had been getting gifts for Jennifer, he was never identified. Never found. But 2 weeks later, another girl in a nearby town received a necklace in a pretty little box, tied with a black satin ribbon. And at the bottom, a card.